You know what really gets me about this show is the fact that every single season men go on it thinking that they're going to be the one to pull off the next great Love is Blind heist. And all they're really doing is showing how far they are below the women in emotional intelligence and critical thinking, in integrity and all of that. Every single fucking year. They're always like, yeah, I didn't really watch the show before I went on it. We can fucking tell, Doug. We can tell. We can tell y'all didn't watch the show. Y'all are acting like you're gonna be the first one to get away with lying to two women or sliding into another cast member's DMs. You think you're gonna be the first one to do that and successfully get away with it because you're a fucking dipshit. Every year there's a Dave, the sociopath, narcissist, two-timing manipulator. Every season there's a Ben, the clearly not so straight man who has issues with the LGBTQ community. His worst fear is people thinking that he's gay. You know why that is? Yeah. Every single year there's a guy like Devin with absolutely no life skills, a bunch of debt, living with his parents or whatever, doesn't know how to cook, doesn't know how to clean, doesn't know how to do jack shit, just wants a mommy wife, and is willing to do absolutely nothing for it. Not willing to think critically about his own beliefs, not willing to re-examine his attitudes towards things that may have landed him in the place that he is currently at, with a bunch of medical debt and like a $7,000 shoe collection. I don't think so. There's a Joey, the guy who thinks he's going to be so likable that he's going to get his, 15 minutes of fame on this show. He thinks he's going to be the first one to get away with going on there in bad faith as somebody who's never wanted to get married, somebody who lives a perpetual bachelor lifestyle, someone who's a self-described, golden retriever or nice guy or feminist or whatever, but really he's just the same as the rest of them. And it makes absolutely no difference to how he actually treats women. And people think he's likable every single time until the very end. You know why they do this, y'all? Because they can fucking dupe you every time. But you have to start seeing the patterns. I'm so tired of being neurodivergent. This is a pattern, okay? Every year, these men go on this show hoping to dupe you and the women that they're talking to, and every single year they succeed. And this is why they do it. Everybody was defending Joey until the very fucking reunion. When I called it in the very beginning, I said self-described golden retriever, red flag. This guy hates women. And guess what? He hates women. And his sisters are just a human shield for him. Just the same as Dave. Every year, there's a guy who doesn't know what the fuck he actually wants and still goes on the show anyway. And once again, we still end up blaming and demonizing the women for it. When in reality, he refused to break up with Meg. One, because, like I said, everything's a competition to men. So he knew that Madison had another guy she was talking to. So he was just hedging his bets. Like, he knew how he was going to try to play this. Two, because I do genuinely think he enjoyed both of them and had a tough time choosing. But they are not the same person. Like, they are not even similar. It's just a little interesting. We never point the finger at men until there's a concrete evidence, receipts at the reunion, and all of their shady behavior becomes actually exposed. Until the very last minute, people were defending both Mason and Joey, being like, oh, they were done dirty on the show. No, they fucking weren't. I'm trying to pass on my pattern recognition to you so that you can have better success. Because these men are just wasting your time. I swear to God, they're just wasting your fucking time. What did I say about him? I said whatever that woman says he did in those texts, he did it and probably worse. And guess what? Sarah confirmed it at the reunion. She was like, yeah, I can definitely see why somebody would say that about Ben. And by the way, that's when he got this look on his face. So mind you, a lot of these men are not playing around. Like, they're legit scary and dangerous and angry, because that's one of the only emotions that they allow themselves to experience. So they channel everything through a very narrow lens, okay? And as women, we are incompatible with that. Please remember this, ladies. There's always men on the show like Ben and Devin who think that their political views don't matter to the women whose control to their own bodies is in question. To women who are marginalized by politics all the time. This is what I mean by, like, men are just, they're not thinking critically and they're not thinking about anyone but themselves, They're like, no, but this is what matters to me is like lower taxes and da-da. Lower taxes do not matter when your wife dies from a septic infection caused by an ectopic pregnancy, because a doctor is not willing to perform life-saving health care But men are not thinking about that scenario because they're not thinking about women as people. And it is preposterous to me that anybody would act like, Sarah and Virginia saying no at the altar and attributing it to politics and differences of views and stuff like that is at all like politically motivated. No, it's motivated by the fact that politics marginalize women or empower women. Women are not liberated in this day and age. We can only be further marginalized or slightly empowered by the politics. And mind you, it's not even like voting for the Democrats is automatically going to bring our rights back or anything like that. It's just, maybe it won't get worse. But in reality, men acting like politics is like a toss up. Why would that matter to you? Like, oh, you really wouldn't marry someone based on their political views is preposterous, absolutely preposterous. But yet they do it every single season anyway. And also, I'll have you notice that every man, at least from the past few seasons, that has ever claimed to be religious has turned out to be super suspect and super shady. And something weird has come out about him. Men are very rarely, very, very rarely religious out of the goodness of their heart, okay? Men invented religion to hide behind it and to marginalize women, and they continue to do so. I think that if anything, the show has proven over and over again that your chances of finding true love on the show are about as good as they are out in the real world. The best thing you can do for yourself is, first of all, to never trust things that we know for a fact are not true about men. Men do care a lot about women's looks. And just before y'all think I have nothing negative to say about this couple, sorry, but he could have still seen her Instagram without him following her. He could have still seen what she looked like, even from the little circle or whatever, and he could have been like, that's the one I'm going to zero in on in the pods. There's no way y'all are going to convince me this man was not lying about the Instagram thing. I know he has seen her Instagram. Why would he ever ask about that in the pods? Oh, what's your Instagram handle? Oh, it's this? Yeah, definitely have never seen it. I've definitely never seen it. Why would you even have that whole conversation? It sounds like a pre-admission of guilt. Guilty people can rarely really keep it inside because it's so dissonant and so discordant with what's meant to be our human nature. I really think it was just a way of it slipping out, him getting out ahead of it before she had a chance to be like, wait, I think I've seen you before. My biggest takeaway from the season that I'm really happy about is that women are no longer willing to put up with this on a large scale. Women are understanding that politics do have a very real and visceral effect on their life. They're understanding that they cannot afford to be with men who don't think critically about anything, but especially about politics. And I love that several of the women cited very specifically as a reason for breaking up with a man the fact that he wasn't curious. He wasn't willing to go further with me. Like, we hit our edge. And I love that women are realizing about themselves. Like, women are seeing very, very clearly that they have a spectrum of things to offer, whereas men rely on a very narrow stream of something between like masculinity and stoicism to offer, which is at its core really boring, really uninteresting, and really stagnant as far as growth, spiritual connection, emotional connection. And I'm just super, super happy that women are no longer fucking with that. That really makes me the happiest because it is a huge deal to realize like, wow, I don't have to marry anybody. And if I were to marry a person that doesn't like line up with me on my most core beliefs, I wouldn't be doing myself a favor. I would be doing myself a disservice. And I love that. That is the core idea of what I'm always on here trying to teach women, is that if your relationship or your marriage doesn't benefit you, then it is supporting the patriarchy, literally dimming your light at the cost of fueling a man's success within that very same patriarchy. So it is very important for us to think critically, especially if the men are not. Stay safe out there, ladies. I love you so much. Godspeed. Mwah.